Namashestam manamaki Ashachibhutata surupam Rupam tasagrajamuripurim Maturim Ostvatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Ahoradikamadavasam Prapto yasya Patita Kripaya Sri Gurum Natosmi. First of all, I offer my heart like flowers thousands and thousands of times at the feet of my Holy Master, my spiritual teacher, my transcendental Father. Nitya-lila pravishta om Vishnupad ashto tarasata sisimat rupa rugacharya varya Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Jai Guru. Secondly, I bow down with great reverence at the feet of my Guru's Guru and his Guru, my grandfather Guru, great-grandfather Guru, great-great-grandfather Guru, great-great-great-great-grandfather Guru, and all the very merciful spiritual masters in our tradition, by whose unconditional compassion and very diligent endeavors it's hard work to make a fool become wise. So I'm very grateful for their very diligent endeavors. We never give up hope, but trying again and again. They make us become successful. So I'm remembering that. And thirdly, I am bowing down in great respect to all of you who have come to share these wonderful moments of spiritual development. My pranam to Namaste. In Bhagavad Gita, there Shri Krishna said, bahūnāṁ janmanām ante jñānavān prapadyate vāsudevaḥ sarvam iti sa mahātmā su-durlabhaḥ. After many lifetimes, bahūnāṁ janma, many lifetimes. Jñānavān. When a person becomes jñānavān, that means full of knowledge. Their wisdom is mature. It can take many lifetimes. All of you who are here, this is not your first time on this path. Many lifetimes have gone by. So after many lifetimes, janmanām prapadyate, the Supreme Lord, who is all-pervading, all-knowing and all-powerful. And more than that, all-beautiful. And more than that, all-loving. He said, after many lifetimes, when one's wisdom becomes mature, then that soul surrenders himself completely to me. The life of divine seva, service. He understands that I am everything. That God is all things everywhere. But sa mahātmā su-durlabhaḥ, such a mahātmā, a great soul. Mahātmā, atma means soul. Atma can also mean mind. And maha means great. So mahātmā means great soul, or mahātmā means broad-minded. Such a broad-minded person, su-durlabhaḥ, is very rare and very hard to find. Manusyānaṁ sahasreshu kastit yatati siddhaye yatatam apisiddhanam kastim māṁ veti tattvataḥ. Krishna told Arjuna, hey Arjuna, out of millions of people, only a few, they actually strive for mukti, liberation, nirvana. Just a few. And out of those who strive, thousands of those who strive, then you may meet a few who have attained it. And out of thousands of those who have become perfect, in the sense of being liberated from the contamination of the temporary material plane, out of thousands of those, very rare, hardly you can find one who has gone beyond liberation, who is liberated from liberation even, who has penetrated the light to see the beautiful smiling face of the personality of reality. Kastim māṁ veti tattvataḥ. Even among the perfected persons, hardly one knows me, Sri Krishna said. So bhakti is the post-liberation experience. Brahma bhuta prasanatma na sochati na kankshati samak sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. In the end of Gita, Sri Krishna said, when a person, they realize Brahman, I am not this physical body, I am soul, and they are free from lamentation, they don't lament for anything, and they don't hanker for anything. Samak sarveshu bhuteshu, they see every soul equally. Then, mad bhaktim labhate param. After that, then they enter into pure bhakti, into pure devotion. Bhaktya māṁ api janati yavanyastasmi tattvataḥ. And indeed, Arjuna, my personality can only be understood by devotion. So, I want to speak about the word mahātmā, the broad-minded person. Who is the broad-minded person? A broad-minded person is called, in Sanskrit, saragrahi, one who can accept the essence of something. They can see through the superficial things and identify the essence of any idea. There are many faiths in the world. They have different types of dogmas, different types of philosophical perspectives, and so on. And so I know that many of you are involved in this very wonderful movement, the Theosophical Society, which is dedicated to extracting the essence, separating the wheat from the chaff of the various religious faiths and ideas of the world. So truly, this is the Vedic spirit. The Bhagavad Purana is the very last, final contribution of Vyasa, the author of Gita and Vedanta Sutra, Mahabharata. It's his last contribution there. And there he speaks about what is dharma, what is religion. And And he gives the definition of religion for those who are mahātmā, broad-minded. There, he has likened religion to a bull, Dharma the bull. Dharma the bull has 4 legs, moves on 4 legs. Those 4 legs are truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, with compassion for others, and tapasya, austerity. In other words, self-restraint, self-control. And so here, Vyasa is presenting the Vedic conception of Dharma. Wherever you see a culture, a belief system, or a practice which is actively inspiring its followers to, first of all, be truthful, to be clean in their habits, to be merciful, kind to others, and to exercise self-restraint, tapasya, do some austerity, some self-sacrifice for the sake of God's service. There you have a dharma. You have a dharma, a religion. Understand? So when we see any religious faith or school or tradition, it's not so necessary to be caught up in so many historical and cultural trappings, but to identify the saragrahi means accept the essence. Sar means essence, saragrahi. And that dharma, that religion is successful to the degree to which it is successful in imbuing its followers with the 4 principles of dharma, the legs by which the dharma makes progress. Now, there are 4 types of adharma, against dharma, sinful activities. As you know, the word sin is derived from the Latin word, which means to miss. It means to miss the mark. We have an ideal. The ideal to serve God, and whenever we miss that ideal, we miss the mark, this is called sin. So in Sanskrit that is called pāp. Pāp. So there are 4 types of pāp or sin according to the Vedas, and they are the gambling, intoxication, the eating of meat, and the promiscuity. So these 4 principles, or rather abstaining from these 4 principles, cause one to actually make progress in dharma. Why? Because promiscuity destroys the principle of the cleanliness. Intoxication destroys the principle of tapasya, or self-restraint, the austerity. Eating meat, killing animals, compromises the principle of mercy. And gambling, speculations with money and so on, they cause one to gradually become entangled in dishonesty, untruthfulness. And therefore, the culture, the education, the philosophical or religious system anywhere in the world, if it promotes these 4 legs of religion by which one can make progress, there you have dharma. And it can be judged whether it is successful or not on the basis of this. Now let's try to go a little more deeply into these ideas. The ideas of the mahātmā, the broad-minded persons. who are saragrahi, who can extract the essence in any situation. So, most people are familiar with the Gita, and how there we find the discussion of karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, and finally bhakti yoga. These 4 types of yoga. Now one may think, what is this concept? 4 types of yoga. Is this Hinduism? Is this an arbitrary analysis of the various ventures and projects of Indian people? Or is it something that's really the concept of the mahātmā, the broad-minded person? We learn through the medium of discussion. All the Vedas are in the format of discussion. You know, Bhagavad Gita is a discussion between Krishna and Arjuna. All the Tantra scriptures are a discussion between Shiva and Parvati. The Puranas are in the form of discussions between sages. And as they're discussing, then they begin to discuss a discussion between 2 other sages, in which 2 other sages were discussing a discussion of 2 other sages. And the Puranas become a story within a story within a story within a story, like this. It's a method of speaking that actually is trance-inducing. Now modern scientists who are studying consciousness have found that the nested loops of a story within a story within a story is trance-inducing. And so the Vyas, when he was writing the Puranas, he's written them in a very interesting format, which helps us go into deeper levels of consciousness. So, the discourse is the method by which we learn, by which we grow. And there are 4 types of discourse. We have to examine ourselves and see in what type we are engaged and how valuable is it. The first type of interfaith discourse, if you like, is when 2 people come together and they are firmly entrenched in the concepts that they currently believe in, and they're not really listening to the other person, because they are the type of conceptual colonialists. They want to conquer new territory. What the other person believes, feels, or anything is not so important, but they are new territory. They are the conceptual colonialists. So this discourse is not very fruitful. It's not fruitful for either side. So better than this is the person who comes to the table with an ear. Really, they want to hear. They really want to listen. However, knowingly, or very often inadvertently, what they hear, they try to measure it with the calibrated scale of their own perspective, without putting their perspective aside for a moment and trying to completely be in the shoes of that other person. When they hear something, it immediately becomes, there's interference from their own conception, which then adulterates and deforms the message which is spoken by the other person. This discourse is an improvement over the first one. Yeah? It's better, but we're not quite there yet. Then the next one goes too far. In the sense, that is, do you have students of modern literature, postmodernism? The postmodernist approach is coming to the table with a deeply ingrained belief that all ideas are equal to every other idea. That no idea is better or worse than another one. They're all equal. Like this. This gives a person a feeling that they're on the moral high ground. because I don't privilege. And thereby, by privileging one conception or cultural idea, I'm not marginalizing another. And therefore, I am the champion of freedom. So there's a great moral and ethical pull in the discourse of postmodernism, where it's forbidden to actually examine the merit of different ideas and consider one to be better than another, because that would be a type of intellectual fascism. This idea is also makes one become blind, because really some systems of thought are indeed more coherent than others, more coherent and sometimes more complete than others. So one has to be judicious and be able to weigh them in an impartial way. So the postmodern discourse is also not valuable. It's just a type of trick to make us all come together and feel like we all get along. Without actually doing the hard work to deal with the nitty-gritty problems and really reconcile the contradictions in a satisfying way. It's a kind of the academic laziness, which is more or less all-pervading in academia these days. So, the fourth type of discourse is something else. The fourth type of discourse is the discourse of the mahātmā, the broad-minded person. In the discourse, they are hearing what others have to say, but they're not becoming lost in that. They're looking into the eyes of the person, into the soul of the person, and asking one vital question, which is the key to everything. Yes, I understand what you're saying. I'm listening. I know I am assimilating as best I can what you believe. But the question is this: why are you following this system? What is the payback? What is your motivation, your intention? This is the most important thing. What is your motivation? You see, a person may be following Christianity, or Hinduism, or Islam, or Buddhism, and within each system, the persons in each system may be practicing their religion for different reasons. And so, those in different religious systems who are practicing, though the system is different, they're practicing for the same reason, are more akin to each other. They actually belong to the same religion, actually. Rather than those who are within the same religious system, but practicing with another motivation. So the Vedas have analyzed that there are essentially 4 broad categories of motivation which cover everything. The 4 broad categories are, first of all, fruitive activity. I am living my life, I am acting, I am doing whatever I am doing, either secular, mundane or religious. I am doing it for my own worldly benefit and happiness. So that in Sanskrit is called karma. Karma means an action that you do to benefit yourself in this world. You see? And so a person, we're not looking at whether they wear tilak, whether they, like the Vaishnavas in India, they shave their head and grow a piece of hair here. And the Franciscans, they grow their hair here and shave that piece off. The exact opposite. So we're not looking at these superficial things. We're asking the question, why are you practicing? And so when a person is practicing their spiritual path, but it's mixed with the motivation, they'll get some gain from it. If I become a priest, then I'll have a free house. And I have to work mainly on Sunday, but not the other days. Not so much. It may be done for such a motivation. I'm not criticizing anyone or pointing a finger at anyone, but such motivations may be there. So when any religious life is practiced for a material motivation, many religions they speak very much about collecting lots and lots of money, and the preachers and representatives become fabulously wealthy. So whenever any practice is done to get something of this world, gross, such as money, materials, or something more subtle, such as prestige, the respect of others, the status within society. When these things come, and then a person experiences something higher, they cannot progress, because they become attached to their status. You see? So these are the trappings of Maya, the trappings of illusion. So the first motivation with which we practice something is called karma. We perform our material or spiritual activities to benefit in a worldly sense. That is called karma. Then, the second type of motivation is called jnān. Jnān, of course, means knowledge. But here, in the sense of a motivation, jnān means I'm practicing my spiritual activities to attain liberation, salvation, mukti. I want to be saved. Because a sensitive person sees the world and recognizes that actually it's a place of suffering. This world is a place of suffering. There's some happiness, but it's been likened to in medieval times, kings, they used to punish thieves. They had a ducking stool. You know the ducking stool? So they put the thief on the ducking stool and then they dunked them under the water. And then they watched for the bubbles to come up. So the thief's underwater, his lungs are bursting, he's suffering so much, and finally he can't hold it anymore. And his breath comes out. And so they're now, oh, he's about to drown now. And then the police, they lift him out of the water. And he comes up out of the water and then they dunk him back under again, like this. And again, he's in anxiety. So the happiness of this world is like that, that breath. And the rest of life is the other part of the experience. You see? Because when we're young, in our youth, that's the, oh, I'm young and strong and handsome and everyone loves me, I can do so many things. But just in a second, it's gone. And then many, many years of old age, disease, disability. So, and this goes on lifetime after lifetime. Even if you study astrology, you'll see there are so many planets. And so many planets are beneficial. They give some upliftment in your life. But the majority of planets are malefic. They give problems. Those of you who know Jyotish, Vedic astrology or Western astrology, you'll know that most of the stars, most of them are malefic. And so from this we can see what will unfold in a person's life. Mainly problems with the occasional commercial break, little relief, and then again the problems coming, and then for the grand finale is death. So in the Gita he said, Dukkhalayam ashashvatam, the world is a temporary place which is filled with so many tears, it's overwhelming to even think about it. In fact, we don't want to think about it. We live in constant denial of it because we simply don't have the courage to face the existential issues of the true way of the world. Even the existentialist philosophers, like Jean-Paul Sartre, they demanded, become authentic, face the reality of life. And if you just look life in the face as it is, what will happen? He wrote the famous drama Nausea. You almost vomit there and then. It will be such a shocking reaction. So we live in denial of the nature of this world, so that we have the strength to go on somehow or other. So those who see this, They are called the jñānis. They analyze things as perfectly as they can. And they want to discriminate between matter and spirit, that the spirit should become divorced from its entanglement in the world and be saved. Mukti, nirvana, salvation, moksha. There are many names for this, for the release. And nirvana. Nirvana means in Sanskrit extinguish. That the world is compared to a blazing fire and no one can escape. But nirvana means that the fire should be extinguished. Patanjali also, in his Yoga Sutras, he said that the true yogi is the one who sees that the world is an ocean of pain and therefore strives to rise above it. If we don't see that, we'll become lackadaisical and try to enjoy the poison of temporary bodily sense gratification, which seems like happiness in the beginning, but then burns like a poison later. So Patanjali said, he is a true yogi. He is a true yogi who sees the world as a sea of pain. His disciple, whose name was also Vyas, in commenting on this sutra, he said, if there's dust in the air, this dust is floating, and it may land on your body, anywhere on your body, and you don't feel it. But if it will land in your eye, ow, then you feel it. So he said, the yogi is the eye of the social body. There are many people in society, and though the world is filled with waves of pain and suffering, their consciousness is so dull that they don't feel it so acutely. But the yogi is a person who's become ultra-sensitive in comparison with the rest of society. So he's like the eye and feels the pain. Not only his own, but also they feel the happiness and distress of others. Atmopanyena sarvatra samyam sarvatra sorajuna. Samyam pasati sorajuna. Sukam vaya divadukam sa yogi paramam mataha. In chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, that person who by comparison with himself shares in the happiness and distress of others, he is the greatest yogi, that is my opinion. So only a person who has come off the bodily platform has that true compassion. There's a difference between compassion and charity. Charity means, I'm okay, and I have many things, and you are down on your luck. So, due to my magnanimous nature, I'm going to give you something. Very well. Not so much. Mostly I'll keep for myself. This is charity. This is really not compassion. Compassion is when our bodily consciousness, dehātma buddhi, the identification of the self with the body, when our ahankar, our ego, has dissolved, and we realize that I am atma, I am a soul, at that point, a wonderful thing happens. Due to the absence of rajas, passion, in the consciousness, the feeling of being superior to other people goes away. That's amazing. It's something that we don't think of very often. But generally, if I go to a place, and all the people there, they think, oh, my country is the best. Vive la France. They say in France. Deutschland